And of course, one of the issues around data, there's really sort of two sides to it. The first is this idea of how you do the data cleanliness and the consumption, the BI, all the stuff you do internally, but there's also the interoperability aspects of it. And to that end, and I guess this is a group, right? Yeah, OASIS Open, which is an open source and standards organization, partnered with the Data and Trust Alliance, which is a consortium, and they are introducing a new set of data provenance standards, which I think is interesting. And I know you brought up just as interesting as the fact that, again, we're back on data and this idea of trying to normalize it as we're going to the space, but that it involved a bunch of industry stalwarts and notably is missing several. And so how do you look at all of that?
Yeah. So, first of all, this idea of bringing a data provenance standards to data used for AI. Um, I find it amazing, first of all, that we're still doing data standards in 2025. If you, it feels like we've been talking about data standards. And what can you do possibly that is new around data standards
Make it
at this
work?
point? Yes, I know. Like, what can you do to add more to data transparency, more to data trust, more to data lineage? But be that as it may, it's really obvious that AI does struggle with this. So we've got both OASIS Open, which is a standards organization, and then the Data and Trust Alliance, which is a separate alliance of companies that have been working on AI readiness. And these organizations that are related have come together to create this data provenance standard where Cisco, IBM, Microsoft, and Intel, and Red Hat, which is IBM, of course, taking the lead on this. I find it interesting that although these are obviously big enterprise data standards, standard companies, that we are leaving out the likes of Oracle, SAP, Google. There's some Amazon, a lot of big companies here that are also IT data and AI stalwarts that are not being included in this. And I wonder how much that matters. This feels like, at first glance, an organization of mainframe-ish companies that are trying to come together to bring the legacy world together, but not necessarily having great connections to the enterprise application platforms.
Yeah, it will be interesting. I mean, I think I always have such mixed feelings about these sorts of things because I think on the one hand they're good, but they also are a game of timing because if it's too early, then the vendors really aren't ready. And in this case, as you are pointing out, these are older vendors, and so then the question is, well, do they have enough relevance in the space to actually drive this home? And that's the big question mark. Even though these are large companies, do they represent the old guard versus the vanguard? And is that going to cause an issue with this? What I think is clear, the mere fact that they're attempting to do this, backed up by all these other announcements we just talked about, is that I think that what it's pointing to is this issue of data across the board, of getting your data in order across the board, is just becoming an issue that's sort of frothing and bubbling to the top of all of this. That organizations have got to figure out how to get their head around it, and they're going to need some help.